This TV analog transmitter station allows you to connect either an analog composite video source or any HDMI source up to 1080p and broadcast it wirelessly to any old CRT with an antenna built in. It's got an HDMI input on the top and composite video and RCA audio jacks on the side. These RCA jacks are both inputs and outputs, but the input mode is the only one that works properly. More on that in a bit. The K1 switch toggles the RCA in and out modes, and K2 switches between HDMI and composite video input. There's a power switch on the bottom, a USB power jack on the side, and the small antenna it comes with screws into that terminal. Using this wireless RF transmitter is a bit complicated. You have to hold the menu button down to enter configuration mode, and use the other buttons to change the output to match your location. I used VHF, then set it to N for NTSC. I set the video frequency to 192.25 and audio to 4.5, which sent the signals to channel 10 on my TV. I then made sure the switches on the device are in the right position, switched towards the antenna side to make sure it's in HDMI mode. This mode is best for testing, as even if you don't have any source plugged into it, this mode will still output color bars on your CRT. Setting your TV to the correct channel could be as easy as turning a channel wheel, dialing in via a knob, or just typing the channel in on your remote. Some late model CRTs will require you to do a channel scan in order to tune any channel above 3 or 4, so you'll need to enter the basic menu for that. Some TVs can do it from the front buttons, while others require a remote. After scanning, you should just be able to tune to that channel to watch the broadcast. This is meant as a hobbyist device, so the range won't be too far. If you move behind metal or outside the room, the signal gets very weak. Also, wireless interference will make a big difference in signal quality. Here's an example. If you live in the suburbs, you should have no problem broadcasting in the same room, but if you're in a big city, there will be a lot of wireless interference that may mess with the signal. As an example, this is the same TV, console, cables, PSU, etc. in my old New York City apartment versus in the burbs. And while this example is using coax cables, using wireless RF will be much more sensitive. Now I'd like to talk about the analog RCA jacks. The K1 switch toggles between in and output modes, however, it doesn't work right in composite output mode. Once you connect the video output, the RF signal dims, which means there's now double load on the video transmitter. This isn't just resulting in a dim and blurry image, it's also most likely very bad for the transmitter and will wear it out quickly. This will actually work fine if you only need to pull audio output from the RCA jacks, but I wouldn't use its composite video output at all. That said, the composite video jacks work perfectly in input mode. Simply connect your composite video source, flip the switches, and you're now broadcasting analog video wirelessly over RF. In fact, the image looks exactly as it's supposed to, and there doesn't seem to be any processing being done. That means 240p and 480i are both outputted exactly as they're received, making this great for retro gaming on a CRT that only has an antenna, or just as a fun way to broadcast composite video to a CRT with no lag. More on lag in a moment. As for the HDMI input, it's compatible with basically everything up to 1080p, but the image won't look right unless your source has an aspect ratio setting, and unfortunately most newer streaming boxes and video game consoles don't offer 4:3 aspect ratio modes. Here's an example of a typical streaming box without aspect control. Widescreen content will be squished into the 4:3 CRT, and even TV shows that were originally 4:3 will have black boxes on the side, as those were added to fill widescreen TVs. This look drives me crazy, but there's an easy fix for it. Just use any PC and set it to a 4:3 output. Here's how to do it with Windows. First, connect the converter to the HDMI output of your computer. Then, right-click on your desktop and hit Display Settings. Scroll down and click on Advanced Display, then make sure the adapter is selected from the drop-down menu. Click on Display Adapter Properties for that device. Click List All Modes. Now look for a mode that's 4:3 aspect ratio. Any of these will work. After selecting, hit Apply and make sure the active signal mode matches the desktop mode in the Advanced Display window. If not, hit List All Modes again and keep trying 4:3 resolutions until one matches. This will be different on every PC, graphics card, etc. Once you find a mode that matches, open a browser, log into a streaming service, and start a TV show. Then drag the browser to the CRT and hit F11 to make it full screen. And that's it. Older 4x3 TV shows should fill the CRT properly, and modern 16:9 shows should be properly centered with black bars on the top and bottom exactly as they should. You can also send video games from your PC, and the aspect ratio should match the same way it does with TV and movies. Just keep in mind that this adapter only outputs 480i when you're using the HDMI input, regardless of what the signal is. That's fine for TV, movies, and most modern games with 3D graphics, but that means this is not an adapter you could use properly with retro games or modern games with 2D graphics. You'd still get the benefit of zero motion blur from CRTs though, so if you want, just try it with whatever game you'd like. This transmitter adds between 1 and 2 frames of variable latency to the HDMI input, which isn't as noticeable on a CRT as it would be on a flat panel with more motion blur. In that context, it's not bad, but the composite video input doesn't add any lag at all. You could see this tester showing 0 milliseconds of lag. The numbers on the right are microseconds, and those would probably be 0 too if I can get the sensor right over the overscan entry area. Heck, when using the composite video input, it doesn't even drop signal or add lag when switching between 240p and 480i, which means it handles the composite to wireless RF conversion the same exact way a VCR would handle composite to wired RF. So overall, I really like this little box. You get a lot for the value. Also, I love that it handles composite video correctly, and it does an absolutely decent job with HDMI as long as your source is outputting in a 4:3 aspect ratio.